I'm here with some people that are dressed ready for absolutely anything. This is Zombie Squad. We have Cliff and Lisa. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about your organization?
Well, Zombie Squad is a disaster preparedness organization. We educate the public about being ready for disasters, from personal disasters like job loss or personal injury, all the way up through large disasters like fires, floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, the rise of the living dead. Because if you're prepared for zombies, you're prepared for everything.
Absolutely. So, how big is the group?
There are 52 chapters in Zombie Squad across the United States and Canada, tens of thousands of members. We are the Chicago chapter, chapter 020. We have probably about 8 people here at the con today, probably about 50 members total in our group. We hold events ranging from camping trips just for personal enjoyment, all the way up through training seminars for teaching people how to be prepared for emergencies, pet preparedness, first aid, mock disaster simulations.
What has your experience with the group been like?
It's been wonderful getting together with people and sharing knowledge. We're actually a 501c3 charity, so we get to work a lot with local homeless outreaches and blood drives, food drives. We've done Toys for Tots, so it's very rewarding because you're actually helping people in your community, not only to educate, but to help them as well.
Awesome. Okay. And now I'm assuming that when you guys got here, you secured the entire place, right? There's no chance.
Absolutely. We immediately conducted patrols. There are 0 zombies here today. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hi guys, we're here at Capricon 34, the dealer's room, and we found David Lee Pancake doing some really cool stuff. All right, so talk me a little bit through your art and what do you do? You seem to be working in several different mediums and several different methods. You want to give me a little insight into how you do things?
Well, sculpture is my first love. I do paintings as well, but sculpture is where I find it very natural.
What are you working in mostly? Is this actually metal, or are you working in paper mache? Are you doing sculpty?
I am doing Sculpey, Super Sculpey actually, for my originals. And then once I have my original, I make a silicone mold and cast in resin, or in some cases cold cast bronze, which is resin with bronze powder poured in.
How long have you been doing cons now?
Oh, it's been quite a few years. But for the last 3.5 years, I've done my art full time.
And cons were a big part of that movement?
Oh yes, very much part of that movement.
Tell me a little bit about where you find inspirations for your art and what your influences are.
I do love the fantasy creatures, dragons and griffins, and anything mythological has always fascinated me.
Would you say that being able to sculpt fantastical creatures like Cthulhu has helped or hindered your nightmares?
Well, the other night I did have a pretty spectacular sci-fi nightmare where my entire body was replaced by a robot, but I don't know what that has to do with Cthulhu, but...
So that's coming soon then. That's the next sculpture, right?
Yes.
Look forward to seeing it. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm here with Butch Hoenick of Hoenick Sculptures. And Butch, we've seen you before at other cons, and there's really only one word that could explain all this, and it's exquisite. How do you do this?
These are all bronze castings. How you do it's a long story.
So how long have you been making sculptures like this?
43 years.
Wow.
My main goal in life was to make a living at home. At the age of 30, I got lucky and broke a leg skiing. I had nothing to do, and I started doing welded steel sculpture, and I was giving it away. And my wife finally talked me into an art show, and I sold $12 worth. Came home with an attitude, and 2 years later I got into a big art show and sold $3,000 worth, and went home and told her, guess what?
That's the new job now.
43 years ago.
How long does it take to do these various different kinds of pieces?
I don't keep track of time at all. I can't answer it because when I first started doing sculpture for a living, I was trying to keep track of time to price it. And I found that if I keep doing this, I'm going to mess around and quit doing it and go back and get a job. So I just, whatever it takes.
And you like what you do.
Oh, yeah, I sure do. I'm 73 now, and I don't know when I'll have to quit, but I won't quit until I can't do it anymore.
That's inspiring for a lot of artists, I think.
Most people work their life to save money for retirement. Well, it's the opposite with artists. They just work to make enough money to keep going and making more and better and new stuff.
Totally agree.
All right, Capricon 34, and we're hanging out in the game room. Here are our friend Carlton. We actually talked to Carlton at Con Alt Delete. He was the NCR Ranger. And he's here doing a demo of Dust. So tell us what Dust is about.
So Dust is an alternate history version of World War II. The war is dragged out to 1947 so far. And one of the big game changers is that there's an alien technology called VK that the Axis unearths in 1939. They use that to build big stompy walkers. They are able to make zombies, intelligent apes. The other powers are able to find that, and they come up with their own kind of crazy super weapons. And the best part is Hitler's dead. Hitler got killed by his own guys, so it's no longer the Nazis, it's the Axis. A little more family friendly. Grandpa won't freak out when he finds out you're playing the Nazis. No, it's just the Germans, Granddad.
This seems like it's very simple, straightforward. Like I say, guys that never played it before, and they seem to be kicking butt pretty quick.
Oh, yeah, and the best part is you're looking at about maybe 2/3 to half the cost of a lot of other miniatures games out there. Paulo Parente is the person who created the universe, and some people may have heard of him from Magic the Gathering. He did some card art for them. But he's done a couple of other games. He also has comic books that go along with this. There's also another game platform called Dust Tactics that's more of a, goes by a grid system of you can fire X many boxes, you move this many boxes, and it's very much a more quicker form of play and even much more streamlined. And the great thing is when you buy the models, you're buying both games.
We're in the art room, which is someplace we don't normally film, but we managed today to get our hands on the head of the art room. This is Sam, and Sam's going to tell us why art rooms are awesome. Go.
Art rooms are awesome because they're places to not only buy really shiny stuff, but also to discover new voices and new works by familiar voices that are working in the speculative fiction fields.
Ooh.
So it's not just book covers, it's jewelry, it's hats, it's sculptures, things that you don't necessarily think of when you're thinking science fiction art.
I don't know about you, but I need a ray gun. And if I'm going to get a ray gun, this is the place you get a ray gun.
Exactly. And potentially meet the artist.
You also get to vote, and there's usually an art auction, and there's usually also an art show winner.
Yes. We do have several awards. There's the Best in Show, Best Pro, Best Non-Pro, so amateurs who are just starting out get their own award. And we actually have a new section called the Emerging Artist section, just for students.
Which is really important when you've got young artists who are like, I can make really cool stuff, but I don't know what to do with it. We can give them a venue.
Yeah, I draw dragons all day. Who's going to buy that? Well,
I can show you a whole building full of people who will buy dragons.
Exactly.
All right, well, I thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you letting us in. Now, we do have a tradition that we do, and we haven't really covered this on camera, but I want to get you to do it for me. We do, every con we come to, we get a poster made up. And here you can see our poster for Capricon. And what I'm going to want you to do is I'm going to want you to give me your autograph, because we collect autographs from the really important people, which are the people working the cons and the people attending the cons.
Hey, I'm in the Capricon art room, and we've got Todd Johnson of Shock Fossils. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks.
So this is unique and pretty amazing. Can you just explain a little bit about the process that you take?
Sure. These are blocks of acrylic plastic that have been charged up with a particle accelerator. We shoot them with about 5 million volts and embed a layer of electrons in the plastic. And then when they come out of the machine, we pick a trigger point and release that charge, and there's a bang and a flash, and as the charge escapes, it vaporizes a network of tracks inside the block of plastic.
Wow. Okay. Where do you do this at?
We have to rent time on an industrial particle accelerator about 200 miles away.
That can't be cheap.
No, we have to be very careful with our time. We have a spreadsheet of all the pieces, and just boom, boom, boom. There's a guy who's beating the drum, basically making sure that we're trying to be as efficient as possible.
Now, how did you get the idea to even do something like this?
This has actually been around for a long time. We found photographs from the 1940s of these things. Pretty much as soon as they had multi-million volt energy electron beams, it was discovered.
So for the people out there who may not understand the science behind it, is there any danger of opening a black hole and destroying everything?
Very little.
All right, well, I'm here with Miss Laura Hawks, who is somehow or another involved in the con. I'm not real sure. What's your job here again?
Actually, I'm the con chair.
Ooh, I got to go. Give me what you think the most important thing about fandom is.
I think one of the most important things about fandom in general is basically having a community where we can share our love of science fiction and fantasy and other worlds in general, whether it's alternate history or occult, and in some cases even delves into the horror aspect, where we can really have a commonality with people. And I think that's really important in the basis of society in general, because if we don't have a commonality, I think we end up having conflicts, and if we have conflicts, we have wars. Hopefully we can bring peace by having this commonality and of community.
World Peace, brought to you by Science Fiction. Capricon's been going on now for 34 years.
34 years. This is our 34th, yes.
And it is a pretty general sci-fi con.
Yes. We focus on literary, so we always have an author guest of honor, and we have a lot of authors come in as well. I myself am a new author. So we give up author readings and autograph opportunities, and we also do a lot of different panels and workshops. We have other famous authors, like our author guest of honor this year is S.M. Sterling, who's alternate history, and we also have Sherilyn Kenyon, who's an author in her own right with several series.
Another thing that we haven't really got to cover a lot on Comment yet, but is very important about your Sci-Fi Con experience, is this can be a very educational setting. I mean, you have people who are very knowledgeable about not just sci-fi, but the business of sci-fi, basically giving that knowledge away for free once you buy a badge to be here.
Right. Yeah, you do have to buy the badge. But there's a lot of these smaller conventions like ourselves and some of the other ones that I attend as well, that I get so much information, especially for aspiring writers, aspiring authors, aspiring people that just want to get into the industry. Even filmmakers will come out here for interviews or just kind of working on. We have photography in some cases. Our art show pulls in a lot of the artists for all different realms. So it's really, it's a stepping stool that even looks good on a resume that can give a lot of our newer generation an opportunity to get involved in this business.
Here's the hardest question I'm going to ask you all day.
Okay.
What's the deal with the ribbons?
Okay. Well, as you can tell, I have quite a few of them. But it's kind of a tradition for some conventions, not all, but some conventions like to give out fun ribbons. And some of them are dedicated to, they'll say like GOH, so they're for our guests of honor so people know, or their staff ribbons, or their business ribbons for the various departments. Most of these are just for fun, and certain conventions like ours, it just seems to take off in trading and collecting these ribbons. It's kind of like the trading cards of the convention world. We trade ribbons.